Okay, part 7. And so next up is Stilshrine of Miriam. Stilshrine is one of the more technical dungeons, and it's very consistent if you do everything right, but it's very easy to mess something up. And here is the teleport crystal. The menu we did in last part has to be done before this teleport crystal, because the mage's hats that got equipped in that menu, those give you 10 MP, 10 max MP, and you want to... if you touch the crystal after, then you get that MP filled, because it doesn't automatically give you the MP, it gives you max MP, and you have to heal to get that MP. So you have to, you can also touch the crystal on the way to Mount Boromise, but then you also have to do the menu before, or right after the shop, or before the shop even. In which case you would equip the mage's hats from the shop. Also, the reason why I do it after, I do all of this after, is that Larsa leaves your party, and that's one less input when you do things like... it's a couple of less inputs overall, depending on how you do things. But yeah, it's ever so slightly faster to do the menu after Larsa leaves your party. And yeah, you need to touch this so you can teleport back to Mount Boromise. You actually teleport back here 2 times. And then you grab the Chocobo and run to Mount Boromise. Or, sorry, Stilshrine of Miriam. I will actually speed this up because here is the first screen where you can do the whole sprint in one screen. In this Chocobo ride there are 3 screens, so it's this one and then the last 2 screens where you should use the sprints. And yeah, during this Chocobo ride I usually check the table lights, or I check the EXP that I showed in the last part, and yeah, I do it like during these loading screens, and whenever I have to just hold the controller in one hand, so like here, where I don't have to turn the camera and move at the same time. And yeah, here is the second use of sprint. And the last sprint is in this next screen. So, if you're... well, you want to dismount around here. If you're a new runner, you probably want to save as well. Like, at my level, I don't save anymore, but if you're a new runner, you might want to take that save crystal. Like, you also might want to save before Tiamat and maybe before Chalice as well. But yeah, let's go back to normal speed. Here is the Stilshrine setup. So the idea is that we need to crit down girls and immobilize Fran. And Blissara and Immobilize are both AoE. The crit down is Ash just cast Blissara on Penelo, and that will crit down both girls, hopefully. So, but what I do here is I have Fran attack herself first, And that will make her fall behind so that she doesn't get killed by the Blizzara, because as you can see, she has way less HP than Ashe and Penelo. And then you use Blizzara on Penelo. And there is a chance that if you run to Mount Boromisei before Chalice 2, you will end up with doing this crit down with Shell on, and that will mess this crit down up. So you can try to use Fyra, but I think that might still be too much and that might kill you. And if that doesn't work, just kill Ashe and Penelo to get rid of Shell, and then touch the crystal, and then do the setup. But yeah, you use Blizzara on Penelo. You have to wait a little bit. Like, you can see me, if we go back and do this, actually, you can see me like stop there for a second, and that's so that Penelo catches up, so that Ashe is also in the range of the Blizzara. And as soon as the Blizzara hits, then have Penelo cast Immobilize. And then you can set your cursor on Techniques, and you can hear a sound of the mischarge emptying, and that's when you can open this door. You have to open this door as soon as the Immobilize lands, and that is the cue for it. You can also see it visually when Penelo's MP starts dropping, but I did it like perfectly there, so you couldn't really see it. Also, it is very possible that Ashe will not deal enough damage to crit down herself. If that happens, you can... there's by the way a cutscene skip here. But after that cutscene skip, you can have Fran attack Ashe once, and that will be enough to bring Ashe to critical HP most of the time. You have to get really bad damage rolls not to have that happen. But it has happened to me once that I had to attack Ashe twice there. Then you take out everyone and put Bosch in. If you did, well, you can take a look at your Traveler number. As you can see, mine is 983. I hit Traveler at Tiamat at about 995 or something. I don't remember the exact number. But if you take a look at this number here in this menu, it's about 80 steps from here to where you would cast Traveler. So if you are about 50 to 100 steps away from your Traveler number, or behind you, or like, yeah, away from your Traveler number, not over, but like, so if I was at, say, 900 to 950 steps, which is pretty close, but not quite, I could skip the Traveler setup here. But I would not recommend that unless you are shooting for a really good time. But that is something that you can take into consideration. And if you do that, then you would also turn the battle speed on slowest here. But because I don't have it, or I wasn't there, I did not turn the battle speed on slowest because I need to cast a Traveler. And here it's extremely important that you have the Dawn Shard equipped. If you don't, touching this pedestal won't work, and 3 zombies will spawn and start attacking you, and you can't do anything until you have killed them. So what you would do is you would bring Ashe and Penelo and have them cast Fyra on the zombies to kill them, and hopefully not get killed by this bat or the zombies. And you can see it by having your MP is at 0. If your MP is at 0, then you are good. You have the Dawn Shard equipped. If you're uncertain whether you remember to equip it or not. But yeah, touch the pedestal, and yeah, if you have the Dawn Shard equipped, you can move on. Just don't forget. So this chest is a 50-50 chance of being either Elixir or Mega Elixir. Both are good, but Mega Elixir is way better. Mega Elixir sells for 7,777 gil. So that's a lot of gil. And it's underneath it is a healing trap, so it's a trap, but it will always heal you, so it's nothing. And I got the Mega Elixir, so that means my money is good now, even though I left Jellies with 6,000 gil short. But it is only 50-50 chance. Then this is where I cast Traveler to set up for Bergen fight. You have to make sure that you are in the range. You can see this pointer. If it's red, that means you're too far away from your target. And if it's yellow, you are close enough. So just hit the Miriam Guardian with Traveler. Switch your pedal speed to slow once it hits. And check the number. So it's 064 for me in this run. And you sometimes get hit by Dark. But because of the Dawn Shard and the headband, it did hardly any damage. But here are 3 Dragon AoEs, and these guys are actually the biggest reason I switched the battle speed to slowest. And it's because if you don't, then they can actually hit you with their regular attacks. But they can still hit you with Lunge or Bile, which both we are seeing here. And Bile is the annoying one, because that one can inflict sap. But fortunately, I did not get hit by sap. And as I mentioned in the last part, you can remove sap at this point by using a remedy. Yeah, you can do that by using a remedy, and but if you don't have a remedy, you will have to kill Bosch. I will show you where to do that. So here, you bring out Fran, and we immobilized Fran to do a couple of immobilized warps. You will see them shortly. And you also want to turn Gambits on and change Penelo's Arrow Gambit to Fyra. And for Ashe, you want to change the Foe Nearest Visible to Ally Ashe Fyra. You can also give Ashe the Reflect Gambit now, but it saves an input if you do it later, and you really don't need the Reflect Gambit yet. But if you want to, you can do it now. But yeah, here I set my cursor on High Potion, because that's what I'm gonna use, because Bosch is so low. Typically, Bosch doesn't get hurt this much at this point, so I will just use regular potions to heal. I will show you soon why. But yeah. But yeah, here you also have to have the Dawn Shard equipped when you touch this pedestal. And the reason why Fran, like, you have to go and touch this, then you have to go back. And the reason why we left Fran there immobilized is so that we can switch back to her. And then important thing is to bring out Balthier first and then remove Fran, and that will make Balthier the party leader, and that will make Balthier to join your party. If you accidentally take out Fran first, Bosch will become your leader. And because Bosch is targeted, you can't remove him. So what you would, in that case, what you would have to do is you would have to exit the menu so that Fran and Bosch are still in your party, and switch your leader back to Fran, and then do this menu again. Then try to do this menu again until you succeed. But yeah, so Balthier first, then Fran out, and then you just leave. And if you do it fast enough, Bosch will not get hit before you leave. So then you run through these guys. If Balthier gets hit, he dies. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about him getting hit, but usually you can, with usually with good movement you can avoid getting hit. So yeah, and the reason is that you can freely use things here, like without it wasting any time. So because you're controlling Balthier, having Bosch throw potions at himself doesn't cost any time. So I used a high potion and a regular potion. Usually I just use 2 regular potions if he gets hit, but now he took so much damage, I decided to use a high potion and a regular potion. That brought Bosch to full. Then you run a little further, like you run just a little bit, and then you take out Balthier, and this time you take Balthier out first and then bring Frang out, so Bosch becomes your party leader. And Fran will spawn in front of Bosch, so that you have to run around Fran. And be careful that you don't push her so close that this guy will target Fran. Otherwise, Fran dies and that's not fun. If Fran dies though, what you can do is you can run back from here, back to where you're going next. It's actually a little bit faster, but you lose steps, and you take more damage. So overall, I would say it's pretty even on time, but you lose a high potion usually. So that's annoying, and you have to do a different traveler setup. So you can do this, but if you used Traveler earlier, then you have to be sure. You have to be sure that you're still good on steps, or otherwise you can use another place to cast Traveler as well. And either way, you have to talk to the sword, and then you have to switch back to Fran. And because Fran is so far away, there's a thing called immobilize despawning, and there's an enemy right here. But there are 2 enemies targeting Bosch, but as soon as you switch to Fran, Bosch got untargeted, and that's because the enemies are so far away from your party leader, they got actually despawned. So you switch your party leader to Fran, then you take out Bosch from your party. Then you respawn Bosch where Fran was and take Fran out of your party. And then you run away. And this horse that teleports around, he can't be despawned. And if you take too long by the sword, he will teleport back to Bosch. And then you can't take Bosch out of the party, and that's really bad. Anyway, the horse actually hits hard. Especially with Dark, if you don't have a headband, which is one reason why I like headband now. This time he did not get the attack off because of the slow battle speed though. So that's another thing that slow battle speed is useful for. He can still get it off sometimes. Then you run past these bats. The bats can use Leech, and these bats deal a little bit more damage than the bats in Henne Mines. So these guys can do like 290 damage with Leech and 130 with the Gnaw. At least that was 130. They can probably deal a little bit more as well. And yeah, just making sure that the cursor is still on high potions, so I can just mash X to use a high potion when I need to. Here in this next screen, you can just run past this one enemy. He usually doesn't even target you. Here, if you want to, you can bring out Fran to despawn some enemies. I don't. But you can do that. It costs a little bit of time, but at least Bosch will not get hit. So you can despawn these bombs. And then you can despawn these phasers. But you can't despawn the zombies, but you can reset their aggro. Which is interesting. And here's the first statue. So there are 3 statues you have to rotate, and you have to make them face the center. And what you want to do with this one is, especially if you didn't despawn, you want to run behind it and then activate it, because that way the phasers can't hit you with magic. Either way, this statue needs to be facing this way. So if it's facing the opposite way that you came from, then you have to rotate it counterclockwise. And if it's facing the way you came from, you have to rotate it clockwise. And that's that's the way I remember it. And it's the same thing for the other statue. If it's facing you, then it's clockwise. If it's facing away from you, then it's counterclockwise. And it can also face the opposite way, in which case you would do clockwise twice. That's what we call a statue troll. And statue trolls are annoying. It wastes some time. It wastes 10 seconds, and the enemies can hit you while you are there. So that's another reason why slow battle speed is very nice. But what you can do here is, depending on your steps, you can, or how good you are with steps, you can use the time that the statue turns to burn some steps to make your traveler number where it needs to be. Like, I need to burn about 30 steps, 25 to 30 steps, to make traveler number be perfect if I use it on the statue or the Miriam Guardian. So that's something. But that's something you have to figure out yourself, where you want to use the traveler and how many steps you have to burn, especially at first. So in this room too, you can bring out Fran if you want to. You just have to be careful that if you bring Fran in this room, you have to be careful that her immobilized does not wear off, because you still need her to be immobilized for at least one thing. So I would recommend maybe doing it in the first room, but maybe not in this one. If you can, it's fine. But this is another place where you can use Traveler. You can use Traveler on this guy instead of the Miriam Guardian, if you feel like that works better for you. I just feel like this one is a little bit more inconvenient because you are on slow battle speed here, so you will have to do the casting with the slow battle speed, and it would not be worth it to switch the battle speed to full just for that. And about high potion usage, so Bash has 1100 HP, and high potion, if you have the potion lore 3. Then if you were able to afford that, then the potions will heal for 600 HP. But for me, they will heal for 500 HP because I was not able to afford that. And so I will use high potions every time there are no enemies around and my HP is, I have lost more than 500 HP, or at least 500 HP. That way I will get the full benefit of the high potion. So for example here, as soon as Bosch gets untargeted, you can see the targeting by Bosch's name being red. So as soon as that name turns white, I will throw a high potion on Bosch. And here is the second statue. Again, it's facing away, so it's counterclockwise. Here again, if you get statue trolled, especially here, the bombs very much like to lunge you. And that's annoying. So here, I could use a high potion here as well. But I think I did not. Because it costs a little bit of time, and if you can also use it, like this HP is fine enough to start the next or the Matthäus fight, and you can use it in the Matthäus fight without losing that time you would lose throwing it on yourself. So it saves like a second or two if you use it on the Matthäus fight, but you have to make sure that you will be able to survive at least for a little bit. before Mateus, or at the start of Mateus. So here, like on the minimap, it's like right there. There's a chest that can contain a Lamia's tiara, but if you open it, this phaser will hit you. So just be aware of that. I skip it if if I'm already good on Gil, but if I'm short on Gil, then I will pick it up. And here I set my cursor on Arcane Magic because that's what I'm gonna be using next. And before leaving the screen, if I'm not targeted, I do this menu. If I'm targeted, I do it at the start of the next screen. But what you want to do is you bring out Vaughn, Ashe, and Penelo. Then you switch your battle speed to fastest because we are about to fight the boss, and you want it to be on full or as fast as possible. Then you can remove everything from Bosch. Note that this will remove the headband, so it will drop your max HP. That's another reason why I didn't high potion, because some of the HP would have gone to waste. Because my HP would reset back to 961. You can just not remove all. You can just remove the shielded armor, but that's slower. Then you want to equip the golden amulet back on Bosch so he gets double LP from the next fight. And then you want to optimize Vaughn so Vaughn gets the cherry staff and the shielded armor. Then at the start of the screen, it's a little bit tight. So if you can't do it, it's fine. You can do the setup fully in the next screen, but it will lose you a little bit of time. But there is this enemy over here that can be troublesome if you're not fast enough. But you want to decoy Vaughn and then have Vaughn reflect himself in this screen. And then you want to flee so that the Miriam Guardian does not, so you don't pull out your weapon. And then in this next screen, you're gonna reflect Ashe, or you're gonna reflect Penelo with Vaughn, and you're gonna reflect Ashe. And reflecting Penelo with Vaughn is important because Penelo needs a lot of MP. So the MP management is really tight. And in this dungeon, if you lose MP anywhere, you have to make it up somehow. And your reflect timing is worrisome as well, so you can't really burn steps, or you can burn. Usually, like if you have one character that needs MP, if you do an extra spell with the character, they will need more MP, and you can burn steps. If you usually burn steps, then you can burn steps with that character in the Mateus fight. Or you can just burn steps anyway and just hope that you don't overstep. And then you can use Ether on the other character or something like that. But you have to be careful about your MP. That's the main point. So you want Penelo's black magic cursor to be on Fyra for the start of this fight. So how Venus Guard goes is you use a Fyra on, you straight cast Fyra and straight cast Fyra with Penelo and straight cast Arrow with Vaughn on Venuscar. That is because Venuscar, you can't go quite one round Venuscar, but you can almost do it. And after Venuscar is below 80%, he will always use Crown. And Crown clogs the whole ATB, and then you can't do nothing. And then it deals a lot of damage, and it can confuse you. So that's pretty annoying. So what you do is you have Penelo ready to Fyra, and as soon as Venuscar becomes an available target, you use that Fyra, and then you mash X to cast Arrow with Vaughn. So because Vaughn does not have Black Magic 3, Vaughn's cursor will be automatically on arrow after you use the fire on Penelo. So that's pretty handy. So you can just mash X. And then you turn on Vaughn and Penelo's gambits. I burn the steps here in preparation for the Bergen or Traveler for Bergen. But you don't have to do that, and you have to watch out your steps if you are not as good at movement as I am. So then you wait until you turn Ash's gambits on, so Ash doesn't trigger the crown too early. And once Penelo starts charging for her Fyra, then you can turn Ash's gambit on as well. And Vaughn should also get the arrow off before crown happens. As you can see, Vaughn is pretty low on HP. What you can also do is you can license Headband on Vaughn and equip Headband on Vaughn, but I don't think that's worth it. There's also a small chance that Venuskar will... Yeah, there's also small chance that Venuskar will kill Vaughn, but there's also a small chance that Venuskar will kill himself, and then you would lose your LP, and it's very rare, but it can happen. Because Venuskar has an ability called HP Devour, and that makes him take damage when he damages you. So if he happens to hit you just as he dies, and that damage happens to be enough to kill him, then you will lose the LP, and it's really annoying if that happens. It can screw your whole run up. But yeah, that's Venuskar. It's pretty simple once you know what to do. Well, it's not simple, but it's easy. But if anything goes wrong, you usually are able to beat this fight, but the trouble will come in the later fights, like Matthäus and Bergen. So right after the fight, you want to take out Ash and Penelo to preserve their reflects, because they are supposed to do 3 fights with the same reflect. And you want to bring Fran for another immobilized warp. Then you can have Fran to throw a high potion on Vaughn. You can heal, you can flee before the high potion, but I forgot, I guess. And here is the last statue. This time the statue needs to be facing the way you're coming from. So if it's left, it's counterclockwise, and if it's right, it's clockwise. Like, I remember it from that clockwise is the right way to go. So when it faces right, it's clockwise. So when it faces left, it's counterclockwise. And yeah, then you have to wait. There's nothing you can do. You can't move or anything while the statue is turning. If you did it correctly. If you can move, then you did something wrong, and then you have to figure out what you did wrong. So after turning the statue, you switch your leader to Fran, and then you take out Vaughn and Fran. You have to take Vaughn out first. Or actually, no, you don't have to do that. It doesn't matter which order you take out the characters, as long as you take both Vaughn and Fran out, and bringing back Bashash and Penelo. And if you didn't afford oil before Venuskar, license it now, because you're gonna need it in the next fight. So now, what you can do, you can set your cursor on arcane magics before when you are on Vaughn, when you are with Vaughn. But I forgot. But it's no big deal. It just cost a little bit of reflect time. So you want to decoy with Ash and reflect with Penelo. You want to decoy Bosch and reflect Bosch with decoy Bosch with Ash and reflect Bosch with Penelo. And as soon as you see the text reflect, you can do the next menu. You don't have to wait Bosch for getting untargeted. You just have to see the verb reflect. And then you can see Bosch is still targeted. Actually, you should bring Vaughn in first, but it's just a couple of more inputs if you do it this way, which is a small mistake, but very minor. But yeah, you take Penelo and Ash out, and once you bring them out, you can see that Bosch is untargeted, and then you can take Bosch out as well. But yeah, I should have brought Vaughn in first. That's a couple of less inputs. And then you go to config and turn battle speed to slow, which I did not do. So I had to fix it. Battle speed to slow is what you were supposed to do there. And then I set my cursor on green magics so that I can cast oil right at the start of the fight. So then, again, if you did this correctly, you will see this small cutscene. Then you just take this route to reach Mateusz. So you want to keep your HP up, so I would say Vaughn wants to have at least 500 HP. So if he doesn't have doesn't have at least 400, I would throw a high potion with Fran, as I did after Venuskar. And there, Vaughn got leeched, so now Vaughn has about 400 HP. Vaughn can use a high potion on himself, but if you want to save high potions, you can also cure, because Vaughn's reflect has run out by this point. And even with the slow battle speed, I can get a cure off way before the next enemy. So that's what I do here. To save a high potion, I just cure because I don't need full HP for the next part. Like, this should be good enough HP. And even that cure is usually not necessary, but the horse can hit you very hard. And especially with Dark. Like, Dark would deal like 400 damage or so. But he did not get that off because of the slow battle speed. But he can use things like Snake Lash and Rush, which will deal like 300 damage. And also the Blood Gigas can use like Lunge or Try Attack or Blast Wave to hit you. So you can definitely take a lot of damage there. So yeah, setting cursor up to green magics. And the reason for the real reason for slow battle speed here was that Vaughn can make it to Mateusz before Mateusz got the reflect off. Now, if you are bad at steps, like you usually are when you start running, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that, you can cast Traveler on Mateusz to set it up for Bergen. In that case, you just probably have to burn a little bit. You just have to burn some steps before Bergen, but this is the safest. Well, it's not a safe because it's not safe to use Traveler in this fight, but step-wise, this is the safest place to use Traveler at. If you find nothing, like try to find something that for Traveler setup, try to find something that works for you. If you can't seem to find anything that works for you, just ask someone for a suggestion. But yeah, this is something that you can do. But anyway, in this menu, you take out Vaughn and bring out the main party. And remove everything from Vaughn and optimize Bosch, so that Bosch has the headband and the shielded armor. And very important is to equip the Dawn Shard back, because Dawn Shard gives you 20 magic resist. And it's very useful because there are a lot of things casting magic on you in this fight that cannot be reflected. So then you want to set the battle speed on fastest, and then have Penelo cast oil on. And actually, you can't see it. You couldn't probably see it, but you cast oil on yourself, because Mateusz, as you could maybe see, Mateusz started to fight with reflect. He always does. So he's reflected, so you can't just straight cast it. But by casting it on myself and reflecting it off of myself, I can bypass Mateusz's reflect. And then turn Ash and Penelope's gambits on, and then use a high potion with Bosch. Then Mateus usually hits you once or twice. His attacks deal about 200 damage. An important thing here is that these are the Ice Acers, and how the reflects work is that they reflect to the closest enemy of that character. So I switched my leader to Ash and moved a little bit closer so that Ash would definitely be closer to Mateus than the Ice Acer. And if you can hit one Fyra on an Ice Acer and be fine. But if you hit 2, you probably will under damage Mateus. And then Mateus uses Flash Freeze. Flash Freeze is his most lethal damage, or it's the biggest damage you will get in this fight if you do everything properly. So it dealt 400 damage on Bosch, and that number would be much higher if you did not have the headband. Without headband, that number would be close to 700. So that's a lot of damage, so that's why that's one reason why headband is good. And if you don't have the Dawn Shard on, you will just die. You can probably survive with the headband, but then it would also deal like 800 damage, maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe not that much, but a lot anyway. As you can see, Ash has 4 MP at this point. That is all planned. And it is planned to keep Ash and Penelope like should be, after this fight, they should be on very low HP. And their gambits should leave on. And that means that they will not be able to cast another Fyra. And then I can just take them out of the party with their gambits on, and I don't have to turn them back on later. So their Fyra is 18 MP. For this fight, you need to have 46 MP for Penelope and 36 MP for Ash. So those are the numbers you need to have after setting up after Venuscar, when you set up Bosch. So after Venuscar, you need to have a little bit more. So Penelope needs to have well, I don't remember anymore the exact numbers, but 46 and 36 are what they need to have before the fight. And before the end of the fight, I actually forgot to do it, but right before Mateus dies, you should equip the golden amulet back on Bosch, so that Bosch will get the double LP for this, but I forgot and missed out on the 27 LP. Which is not the end of the world, but it is, you would really like that 27 LP on Bosch. But yeah, after the fight, immediately take out Bosch, Ash, and Penelope, because Bosch still has Decoy and Reflect, and Ash and Penelope's Reflect needs to stay on. Also, bring out Balthier. If Balthier is dead, you can bring out Fran instead, but bringing out Balthier is better. You can remove Shielded Armor from Bosch, and then optimize Vaughn. You don't have to worry about the Golden Amulet yet if you forgot to equip it, as it is very easy to do, as you could see me forget it. And then if you're fast enough, you can get a cure off here before this door. And you could use potions with Bosch or potions with Vaughn or cure with Vaughn, but you'd rather have Balthier the cure because that doesn't waste any time, even if her cures are bad. Assuming you are on active battle speed. If you're on weight, then you probably shouldn't. You should either let Vaughn be at whatever HP he's at, or throw a high potion at him if he's at low HP. But if you're on active battle speed, then you can do this. Also, if you're on active battle speed, what you can do in this next screen is you can cure Vaughn first, and then as soon as it goes into action, tell Balthier to protect himself. But in this time, my Vaughn was already at full HP, so I didn't need to cure. But usually I would cure once in this screen, and then protect Balthier. Protect on Balthier, it allows him to survive an attack from the Darkmare. So it's not necessary, but if you are on active, that's what you should do. If you are on wait, don't worry about it and just let Balthier die if the Mistmare attacks him. Yeah, here just run past these enemies. Or sorry, the Darkmare, not the Mistmare. And the reason why you bring out Balthier is for this. No, Darkmare will always target Balthier for whatever reason, or Fran if Balthier is dead. So that allows you to, because Vaughn is not targeted, you can touch this Waystone. If you're fast enough, you can touch this Waystone without taking out your weapon, because Balthier is the one who's getting targeted instead of Vaughn. And that's why you want to bring Vaughn. That's why bringing Balthier in saves time. As funny as it is. And also the cures are nice extra. And the protect is to make sure that, well, it's still not sure that Balthier lives. But it makes it more likely. But you don't have to worry about it if you're on a ATB wait. But I would still recommend bringing Balthier to be a target for the Darkmare. So here, just run past the bats. Typically, Vaughn gets untargeted just before the door, as happened here. So that's why I was able to open the door without taking my weapon out, even though it looked like Vaughn was targeted. But he just got untargeted before the door. And then you want your if you turn Bosch's Gambits on at the end of Mateu's fight, then you want to have your cursor on techniques. If not, then you want to turn the cursor on or set the cursor on Gambits instead. But you want to make sure that your magic cursor is on techniques. And then teleport back to Mount Boromise, and now we're gonna fight Bergen. So I've been talking about Bergen for a lot, and that's because the Bergen in the Bergen fight is the second use of Traveler. The first using Traveler is a little bit slow, which is why we didn't use it. Like Mateus and Venuskar were faster to kill. Kill without Traveler, which is why we don't use it. But Bergen, the thing is that, as you could see, we teleported back to Mount Boromise. That means we touched the save crystal, which means that Ash and Penelo are no longer in critical health. Also, Bergen has Shell, which also reduces your damage. So that's another reason why you're not dealing as much damage, so you have to kill him with Traveler. Also, Bergen is really dangerous, and he can block magics. So Traveler is really nice. So here, right before the Bergen door, you do this menu. It's convenient because you can also check your Traveler number while you do this menu. So you remove Vaughn and Balthier and take Bosch out. And then you're also supposed to do the equipment in this menu, but I forgot. The equipment would be to remove all from Vaughn and then optimize Bosch and equip the Golden Amulet if you forgot to equip it at the end of Mateus. And then Bergen. So here you take out Ash and Penelo. I did the equipment menu because I forgot. And then the golden amulet. And then you want to do not gambits but licenses. I'm messing up this menu really bad, it seems. So if Ash and Penelo did not get the sorcerers, the Mystic Armor 6 yet, you would start with them and get that first, and then switch to Bosch to get this. But since I got those in the previous menu, I'm starting with this. So you get Heavy Armor 6 for Bosch, which is Mirror Mail. And then if you have enough LP, you can grab either Potion Lore 3 or even the HP Lore 150 if you already got this. That's usually only the case. Like, this is definitely only the case if you get an early golden amulet. But just mentioning that if you can afford this, you can definitely pick it up. Also the Potion Lore. But I wasn't able to afford it neither, especially when Bosch didn't get the double LP from Mateus. But even with that, Bosch would not have been able to afford it. So then this menu. Remember when I said that 210 LP is enough? But I would recommend getting 220 if you're new. That's because of this license, which is Headsman. Headsman, you can go two ways. Headsman is 30 LP, and this license over here is Etherlore 1, which is 20 LP. So that's total of 50 LP. You can get those which gives Ash Headsman, which is not really needed, but it is safe. It's safe license to get for Ahriman. Makes MP a little bit nicer in that fight. But if you only have if you have less than 220 LP, you would pick up this license instead and skip both of these. And this license is 40 LP, so that's 10 LP less, or 10 LP less you need. So if you need to save 10 LP, you would pick up this license instead of Headsman here. But either way, after getting whichever license you pick up, you would pick up Swiftness and Spellbound for both Ash and Penelo. And then if you have enough LP, you can pick up things like Channeling already. Like I do, I get the Etherlore here. So Etherlore and Headsman, or this Gambit slot. Pick or choose. And then I get Channeling for Penelo. So the order to go here is Channeling, War Mage, Channeling. And whatever you can afford there, pick them up. Like, just go this line with both girls. If you have the LP, you can spare LP, you can pick them up. And that's the menu. And then we fight Bergen. So Bosch will steal once and then use Traveler. Meanwhile, Ash and Penelo can use Fyra. So Bosch stole the Ruby Ring, which is the most valuable steal from Bergen. It sells for 4,000 gil, and, well, yeah. We used to use them in the run, but it's definitely not worth it, and I'm not even gonna talk about them. You can also steal, this is 10% steal. You can also steal High Potion or an Ether. Either way, Ash and Penelo will use Fyra. And then you will use, you can use Traveler. And hopefully deal max damage with Traveler. Just make sure you do, because this fight can be brutal, because Bergen can combo a lot, and then there will be some Chachis joining the battle, and they can use a move called Water Spout, which clogs the whole ATB, and then Ash and Penelo can't use fire anymore, and then Bosch's decoy will wear off, and then everyone it just starts falling apart. either way, he should die of 2 rounds as he did. And a trick here you can do is hold on, I went too far. A trick you can do here at the end of the fight, after Bosch's cast Traveler, well, first turn off the gambits, but after the last round of Fire Ass go off, you can actually go and go to Mist and start summoning Belias. That will freeze Bergen and the Chachis coming up. And yeah, you can see Chachi was readying Water Spout on Penelo. Water Spout is also AoE and it hits everyone, and the Chachis and Bergen can just keep attacking you while you can do nothing. But yeah, and there you could see that Bosch is decoy wore off just at the end of the fight. So there are a couple of recovery ways in Bergen. One is that if you happen to mess up so that, for example, Ash and Penelo's reflect wear off for whatever reason before the fight, what you can do is you can wait for the Chachis to come closer, and then, because Traveler is AoE, you can kill all the Chachis with Traveler while hitting Chach Bergen with it as well. So when they are all in the range of Traveler, do the max damage Traveler and it will kill all the Chachis. That's one way you can make this fight a little bit safer. It will obviously cost time and it's not necessary, but if something goes wrong, that's what you can do. You can also, if you fail to kill Bergen, which is possible because he can block, if he blocks a lot of magics, you might not be able to kill him. You should try to get a 3rd round of Fire Ass off, and if you can't, make sure that whenever you kill Bergen, especially Ash, is revived. Is alive. That's what you need to make sure. Preferably all Bosch, Ash, and Penelo are alive. Also, one thing you can do is use quickenings. You can also do this at Matthäus if something goes wrong. Because if things go wrong at Matthäus will use Blizzardja and basically kill everyone. So after the fight, Fran has quickenings. So bring Fran out and use a quickening chain. And because it's only Fran, you can just mash R2 and triangle. And when you use quickenings, you want to use the level 1 quickenings first, because you really want to get Inferno, which comes from when you have 3 level 1 quickenings. So that's one way of recovering. And this is the last big bathroom break of the run. Last bathroom break for me in the run. And yeah, it's an unskippable cutscene. It's right. There's one cutscene after Bergen, one cutscene skip after Bergen, and then this. But yeah, that's Stilshrine and Bergen, and that's the end of this part. So I'll see you in the next one.